Welcome to the Babbles Nonsense podcast, where I'm your host, Jonna Grimes, and we're here to discuss any and all things, but especially the shit that I want to talk about. Because let's face it, I have a lot of shit to say. And after all, you are listening to my verbal diary. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. In this episode, I have a very special guest, Joey Guz, who is my personal nutrition coach. That's how I found her and got to know her. I actually picked her to be my coach because she is very open and honest about her hormone dysregulation, thyroid, breast implant illness that she's been through. But she's not just a nutrition coach. She's also a fitness coach, a family nurse practitioner. She was once a dental hygienist that I actually found out in this interview, and so much more. She says that she has 4 degrees and she may be getting another one. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to get started and dive on into what is breast implant illness. And if you have breast implants and it's something that you may have been considering or thought about and you may want to take yours out, yeah, this is the episode for you. But if you're just overall curious, definitely the episode for you as well. You'll learn a lot of things. So just listen along. And as always, DM me if you have any questions. Here we go, guys. Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay? Good.
Yes. How's it going? Sorry, it's so dark in here. I'm like,
no, it's completely fine. I just spilled like 40 ounces of water all over my counter. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be late to this meeting. I know that you're a nurse practitioner, fitness coach, nutrition coach.
Hygienist.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I have 4 degrees.
Oh my. So basically just introduce yourself, because obviously I don't know you. I know you via internet.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I went to school first to be a dental hygienist, and then went back and got my bachelor's in human health service administration. And then I went back and got my bachelor's in nursing. And then I went back and got my master's in nursing and became a nurse practitioner.
Wow, that's crazy. So it's funny because I actually wanted to be a dentist, and then I changed and was like, well, I'll be a nurse because it's not as much school.
Yeah.
But now
nursing is hard, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of wishing I would have went the latter. So
although dentists have their top third for like suicide.
Really?
So, yeah, they commit suicide the most. So maybe that wasn't good. Maybe you went the right way.
Okay. That's nuts. So how long have you been in nursing then?
Let's see. I graduated from nursing school in 2011. I did the SDO program, which is a second degree option. So I had already had my bachelor's. And so I went and did it a 4-year degree in 11 months here at University of Detroit Mercy, which they're like top 10 school in the country for nursing, but that was brutal. So 11 months, 4 years into 11 months, I was doing like 60 hours a week. I couldn't work. I mean, like you literally like wake up at 4 a.m. and are studying for an exam. You have like 6 exams a week, and
wow,
you have to have a B in order to, like, if you don't have B's in all your classes, you get kicked out. The program's like 60 grand. So it's like you're all this pressure with money and getting good grades and not working.
Yeah. So did you do fitness and nutrition before becoming into the nursing? Like, did that make you want to go into nursing, or was it after nursing?
I started to do like health and fitness stuff since I've been doing this since I was like 18 or 19.
Wow.
I'm gonna be 39 this year. So I think growing up with everyone around me not being healthy really pushed me. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom just was all about like starving yourself. I mean, I remember her telling me like when I was young to, eat rice cakes and tuna fish, and that's all you should eat all day, or maybe an apple. Definitely like don't eat, basically, kind of mentality. So my weight always fluctuated when I was little because I just didn't understand what she wanted. I was just doing what she told me to do.
Yeah.
And the more I, as I aged, I realized how unhealthy it was. I moved out when I was 17. I got my own place. I was working full time, going to school full time, and I didn't have money for a gym membership. So I got a pair of rollerblades, and I would rollerblade like 10 miles a day. I had like the Cindy Crawford and Billy Blanks tapes, and just kind of like taught myself. A lot of it was, I tried a ton of different diets, different nutrition strategies and it just helped me with all my clients now too. Cause experience is everything versus learning stuff from a book.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's how I learned too. I was just like trying everything.
Yeah. And then you realize how much stuff you're doing wrong.
Yes.
And how much you're hurting your body, and and then I just, I started competing. What year was that? 2000. I don't even remember what year it was. I started with Amber competing though. She was my coach.
Okay.
And then she asked me to work for her after a couple of years of coaching me. and I continued to compete. And then I stopped competing and just focused on life because I competed for like 5 years straight. I never
Wow.
like took a break. So I was prepping 24/7.
I was gonna say
So,
that's hard.
yeah, I was in school for 60 hours a week prepping for a show. I was my mom's guardian. And yeah, it was definitely crazy, but I don't know how I did it.
Yeah, that's
During that, I seemed like I felt fine. I mean, I never complained. I was up at 3:45 every morning to go to the gym.
yeah, before nursing school and all that.
Yeah.
So when you became a nurse practitioner, did you go into acute care or family practice?
Family nurse practitioner. I'm right now I work contingent as a nurse practitioner because I work for Amber full time.
Okay.
And I do radiation oncology consults.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That I praise anyone that can do that because that is hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've worked in the ICU. I was a neuro ICU nurse, a cardiovascular ICU nurse, and then I was the manager of the ICUs. And I mean, in the ghetto here in Detroit, I was used to putting people in body bags like every 5 minutes. So like
Wow.
for me, like radiation oncology is definitely, don't get me wrong, it definitely can be sad, but it also can be rewarding. And these people need help with, just feeling better and not being in pain. So, that feels good. And
True.
it feels good to be able to sit there with them and hold their hand where, a lot of doctors just walk in and walk out and don't give a shit.
It's
So,
true. It's true.
and am I allowed to swear on this thing?
Yes, yes.
I swear a lot. So I'm like, geez, I better ask
So-
because if I
no.
slip.
No, trust me, I swear a lot too. My aunt's always like, "Can you stop cussing on your podcast?" And I was like, "Nope, I can't do it."
Right.
So-
Yeah. So yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about breast implant illness because I'm pretty sure I had it. Obviously, it's not very well known. And that's one of the reasons why I picked you as a coach. I actually was following Ashley, that does the skincare.
Yeah. I'm her coach.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so she posted a before and after, and then she tagged you, and I clicked on your profile.
Yep.
And then I found out you were a nurse practitioner. You believed in breast implant illness and hormone dysregulation. I was like, oh my gosh, this is who I need to coach me, because I've had a coach before who didn't understand thyroid conditions and like how easy it is to gain weight with your thyroid and certain foods.
Yeah. Very
and things
easy.
like that. So that's why I contacted you. And then when I saw that you knew about breast implant illness, it's something I've wanted to talk about, because here in the South, people don't believe it. Like, they're just like, whatever, that's not true.
Right.
And it's becoming more of a thing, I think now. I explanted in 2017. And I think because I watched your Instagram live yesterday, and I think you said 2019.
Yeah. Just this past October.
Yeah. But what I find interesting about your explant is you actually went to the person who is like top notch. And is it Dr. Feng?
Yeah. Yep. Dr. Feng. Yeah.
Feng. Okay. So what were you already knowing? So obviously you were already in healthcare and you started experiencing symptoms yourself, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Kind of tell us your little, like your backstory of how this
I
started.
had symptoms for several years. So, I mean, God, I didn't even realize I was having symptoms. I didn't realize like my brain fog. I didn't realize my concentration, stuff like that. Like, I just thought, oh, that's like normal because I'm so busy or whatever. But then like looking back, I mean, now I know that I have chronic liver disease. So my liver had been continuously getting worse as the years had gone by. And like I had said on that thing that Megan and I did, that like the doctors were like, oh, everything's perfect because my labs were within normal limits. And of course, everything's within normal limits. They're like, oh, you're fine. But they don't account for suboptimal levels. They don't care to tell you like, oh, well, you were in the middle, like of the within normal limits, and now you're at the top or whatever. And so of course I didn't check. I mean, I was young. I was 21 when I had them placed. I was not in healthcare at all. I was doing dental hygiene. I mean, that's healthcare, but it's not, as significant as understanding lab results and stuff like that. So I definitely had like liver issues. And I always, for years, even in nursing school, I remember my teacher coming up to me and she was staring at me and I was like, what's up? And she was like, your skin's looking yellow. And I always had people tell me that. And I just never thought anything of it. So I was definitely looking jaundiced, but my eyes never were. So my eyes always stayed white. My hands were always very yellow. My face was yellowish. And so I always had my professors ask me like, oh, I just curious, has anyone ever said that to you before? And then they'd be like, oh, well, your eyes aren't jaundiced, so it must just be your skin tone for whatever nationality you are, which I'm like 100% Polish, so typically we're not like olive skin toned at all or dark hair, but regardless, so like I was having like those kind of symptoms. I had left breast pain for several years. My nipple would it would be so painful that I would literally have to put pressure on myself. Like I wanted to cry sometimes. It was just like a pain, I can't even explain it.
And how soon after did you start experiencing these symptoms? Like after you got your implants placed?
Well, a year later, my right implant started to develop a contracture, like the scar tissue kind of thing, basically telling you that your body is rejecting your implant. When in fact, all the doctors then were telling me, it's no big deal. You can have another surgery. So
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 surgeries later on my right breast after this kept happening. And then Dr. Feng's like, the first time this happens, it means you have a 100% chance of it happening again, which I had no idea. I mean, why would I know
Yeah.
that? Unless, because all the doctors were like, oh yeah, we'll do another surgery. So I went to the same guy. He did my surgery, took my implant out, put the same one in, but removed the scar tissue. And then it happened again 6 months later. So I went and saw a surgeon here in Michigan who was one of the top surgeons here in Michigan. And he was like, oh, no big deal. We can redo that implant. He put a brand new implant in instead of just removing it and taking the scar tissue off. It happened again 3 weeks later. And at this
Wow.
time now my implant is like literally up. It was high. Like, I mean, like at least 4 inches up, like compared to my other one. Cause it was just like the scar tissue was squeezing my implant so much. And it was just like, it was very painful. And I literally had like a rock. It was like literally a rock, like you could take outside. That's what my boob felt like.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was very hard. And so I was just like, okay, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I don't know what the fuck to do anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm working full time. I'm going to school and I'm like, I don't know what I should do here. I'm seeing a ton of different doctors. They're all telling me they have no clue what's going on. They've never seen this before. And I'm like, well, that makes me feel really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then I found another lady in Birmingham, actually, Dr. Janetsky, and she was like, let's take them both out and see what's going on. She did. And then literally a week later, which that whole week I was not feeling well at all. I ended up having to call her because in the middle of the night I woke up and my wound just started dehiscing and I was bleeding all over my bed.
Oh my
So
gosh.
emergently went into her office. I mean, it wasn't going into surgery because they just literally cut me open while I was awake, give me some Xanax, which did nothing. Tried to numb the skin around there, did nothing. I could hear my skin like tearing as they were cutting me
Oh
open.
my gosh.
Took the implant out. They were suctioning me out with like this vacuum thing in her office. So yeah, it was very traumatizing. I just remember I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And then like afterwards going in the waiting room and just like bawling because it was just like, I was just like, I can't believe this is going on right now. Like it like hit me. I was like, sucks. Like
Yeah.
I seriously have something going wrong with my health. And every day I had to see her for 6 months and put in sterile gauze and saline in my right breast every day. And it was probably like the first 4.5 months I just saw her. And then after that, it was Thanksgiving. And she was like, I'm going to go see my family. And I'm like, go ahead and see your family. Like you can teach me how to do this. And my boyfriend at the time, his mom came with me and she watched and I just remember her face like turning white basically because she's watching my open wound in my chest.
Yeah.
And his mom did it for me a couple of times. And then I did it the rest of the time. I ended up getting Pseudomonas that went to my jaw. It was just like one thing after another. It was really, really terrible experience.
So during all of that, did the thought ever cross your mind? Like, so you took them out where you weren't like, well, I'm going to put them back in, right? Like
it was just my right one that was out though. It wasn't my left one. So I have one breast implant in this entire time and I'm completely fine. So the doctor and myself, are thinking can't be the implants. Like it must just be something's going on maybe with the implant that was placed, or maybe an infection started during surgery. Like the doctor had she's like, I have no idea. I've never seen this before in my life. And, I've been practicing for 20 years. And everybody kept telling me that. And I was just like, they were making me feel worse and worse because I'm like, no one knows what's going on. And I feel like someone had to have had this happen to them before. Like how
essentially your body was rejecting it.
Right. But I had no clue.
Yeah.
And then she got a call from a guy in California who was a surgeon and said that he had a bunch of cases like mine. And what he had been doing was taking bovine skin, so pig skin, and wrapping it around the implants. And these women were having no issues because that's the closest thing to our tissue is from pig skin, and our body adapts to it more. So she called me and said, this is normally like $7,000. I'm going to do it for free because obviously like you're going to be a guinea pig for me. She's like, I've never done this before if you're willing to do it. And I was like, I don't give a shit. Do it. Like I was just over it. I was like, and I told her and myself, I'm like, if this happens again, this is clearly a sign I'm completely done. Like she's going to have to remove this left one. But she did it and I had no issues. And so I was like, oh, great. Like no issues of contractions and like all that kind of stuff and no scar tissue developing, but I still was developing all these other symptoms of like, I got motion sickness really bad, all this, like just weird stuff that I never thought was for my implants. So I never was like, oh, this is for my breast implants. Food sensitivities. I never had any food sensitivities to like, then all of a sudden eating hummus one day and my stomach is sticking out. Like, I literally looked like I was 6 months pregnant, but then the next day I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like literally overnight, like my body would look exactly the same. I would weigh myself and I'd weigh like 12 to 13 pounds heavier the night before from
I
eating
still do that.
something. It would be just from eating like hummus though, like eating like a
Yeah.
tablespoon of hummus. It was ridiculous. And so in that time I went off, God, I stopped eating dairy. I stopped eating meat. I stopped doing a lot of things. I mean, because for health reasons. And then I developed like a passion for animals and stuff and was like, I'm not eating meat anymore. But I did all that mainly to start was because of how I was feeling. Cause I was
Yeah.
like, something's got to give. Like, what the hell is going on with my body? Like, I need to get rid of everything processed and see how I feel.
Yeah.
And I felt better, but I still wasn't 100%. And I developed insomnia and I would sleep like 3-4 hours a night every day. And I was miserable. Then I started smoking marijuana every night. I hadn't smoked weed in like 10 years. And people were like, maybe you should try that since nothing else is working.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first thing that actually worked. And I went and got like medicinal stuff. I was like, I'm not trying to get high here. I just want to go to sleep. And I did that and that helped, but I still would have lots of bouts of not being able to sleep. So that was probably the hardest thing, is not sleeping. Joint pain. I'd wake up in the middle of the night.
Wow.
My elbows would be hurting so bad. I'd wanted to cry. Like my knees, my ankles, just random like pains. And I'm like, I'm way too young for this. Like, why am I having all these pains?
Did all these symptoms start when you started nursing school?
Before that.
Before that?
I was in nursing school in 2011. I had these placed in 2004.
Okay. Okay. And then did you have them out before, like, did you have all this surgery done during school, or was that during a different degree?
It was, I'm trying to one of the schools, but not nursing, because nursing,
Okay.
that was the 11-month program. So there was no way I could do anything. I literally was in school 60 hours a week.
Because I was wondering, because I was going to say that would be a lot.
Yeah, it was before that. So, yeah, because that was 2011. I graduated and I started in 2010 because it was only 11 months. So, and I had the last surgery in 2007 or 8, I think.
Okay. And then
Something
when
like
did you
that.
hear about breast implant illness and then meet with Dr. Feng?
Well, breast implant illness was talked about for a while before it actually got like big.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's mainly maybe just because like of the profession I'm in with health and fitness and stuff that I heard more about it. And even Amber, my boss, I mean, she was like, I'm telling you, I think it's your implants that's causing all these issues to happen. And I'm like, I don't know. I still didn't want to like believe it. And it's not because I was like so set on, oh my gosh, I got to have boobs. It was just like, I just didn't think. I was like, how is that true? But I mean, in hindsight, I mean, it's a foreign object. So, I mean, it definitely makes sense now. But I had heard about it for a while. It got before I went to nursing school, and I still was like, no. And then the more I researched and the more thousands and thousands of dollars I was spending on lab results and seeing functional medicine doctors. I mean, I was spending like $7,000 a quarter on supplements, doctor's appointments, and insurance doesn't cover any of that stuff. So I'm like spending all this money and I have no answers, and I'm not getting better. And in that time I developed Hashimoto's, I developed hypothyroidism, all these things that made no sense because I am not like the poster child for either of those. I'm not gaining weight. I'm not tired. Like those things never happened with me. I never got tired. I was never gaining weight. It was just that I had all these other like not feeling well symptoms. Like I would get nauseous and not be able to eat till 3 or 4 in the afternoon because I just was always feeling sick. I get car sick while I was driving sometimes. So I'm like, dude, I don't even want to drive anymore. Like it was just one thing after another. And then I couldn't eat anything. So then I was just like, okay, I feel like everything I eat, I'm getting sick, even if it was Whole Foods or not, it didn't matter. Like, is it this time I cut out everything processed, like nothing in my house was processed. And I was like, I can't eat anything. And I feel like shit all the time. So it was very frustrating. And then I called Dr. Feng after doing research online because all these doctors were like, we don't know what to tell you. Like, we don't know what else to pinpoint. And then my liver's getting worse. I get an ultrasound for my liver. They diagnosed me with fatty liver disease, which my lipids, every other lab is perfectly fine. And they were like, we have no idea how you could be diagnosed with this because you have nothing to show that you should have this. So I'm sorry. Like so after doing that, and then I was like, I just need to get these out because this is like the last thing that it could be.
Yeah.
So I researched online for a while. I found Dr. Feng. She was top 3rd surgeon in the country. And she's been doing it since 1999, had her own practice. She has her own restaurant there. She's holistic, no antibiotics, no pain pills. And I was like, she believes in everything I believe in. Like this, I have to see her. It took me like 6 months to get an appointment.
Wow.
And I paid $1,500 over the phone to put my deposit down to see her, knowing that like I'm going to see her and the next day I'm having surgery. So there was no like, oh, I'm going to go to this consultation and decide. Like it was
Wow.
You're
That, and
doing
that's,
it or you're not.
I was gonna say, that's putting trust in someone.
Yeah. And I mean, after I did it, after I got the phone, I was like, shit. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I just did. And I'm like, I just gave these, I don't even know these people. What if I hate her? But everything I looked online, she just sounded so amazing. And all her reviews were great. I mean, not just on her website, you just, just searching different things. And also, I don't know if you're a part of the breast implant illness Facebook page.
Yes.
That's what started breast implant illness years ago, back in like 2000 and I want to say 12. There's 50,000 women on there. And now there's like 275,000.
Yeah, so my story is kind of weird and stupid, but so I got implants in 2010 after I graduated nursing school, and I actually didn't want implants. I wanted a lift because I had lost a lot of weight, so I went from a D cup to like an A cup, and it almost looked like I had breastfed children. And the doctor was like, "I'm not doing a lift on you. You're too young." And then he was like, "We can do implants," and I didn't question it, didn't research it,
Well, why would you?
Didn't ask another doctor. I was like, "Sure, let's do it." Did it. Hated them from day one. Hated the way they looked. They were too big, like tried to compress them all the time. My left breast always hurt. Like so much so, like I could not go braless. Like I always had to have a bra on or sleep in a bra.
Yeah,
so
like having pressure on it, basically.
Yeah. And so then it ended up displacing. So I had to get them redone in 2015. So I went to a different surgeon because my surgeon told me there was nothing wrong with it, but it was like excruciating pain. And went to another surgeon. Yeah. And he, like, I initially thought about taking them out, and I talked to him and he was like, "You really don't want to take these out. You're going to be depressed." And I was like, "Okay, whatever."
I know. I mean, you listen because you don't know any better.
So then I let him do it again. And then 2 years later, I'm like when I got the implants in 2010, in 2011, I started kind of having similar weird things happen to me. Like I had like this weird fish like body odor issue.
Yes. I have the worst body odor ever.
Yeah.
Like I swear I was like, I smelled so bad. I was putting on so much damn deodorant every day. It was like getting unreal. And I was having to buy like the strongest deodorant, like, the whatever they have at the stores that is supposed to be like the best clinical strength shit.
Yeah. So I like that was going on. My hands were turning yellow. I couldn't remember like how to start an IV, and I had been a nurse 2 years now at this time. And like so then we found out I had Hashimoto's, and we just chucked it up to Hashimoto's. Like, okay, I have Hashimoto's. Well, then when my left breast started hurting again in 2017, and I was like, I know this is not about to displace again. Well, I just happened to be watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and Yolanda was talking about all her crazy symptoms, but she never said, she never said breast implant illness. So I looked up Dr. Feng and I saw what she was all about. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I could have this. And so I went back to my plastic surgeon, the one that replaced them, and he refused to take my implants out. He told me I would be depressed and that I needed to think about it for at least a year. So I found another doctor in the group that was close to me because I joined that group, found a doctor close to me, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll take these out." He was very honest. He was like, "I don't know if this is a thing, but you're not the first person I've heard it from."
Right.
And he was very like, but then I was like, I wanted to go to her, but I just price point wise, I just couldn't. And then the travel, I would have to stay there. And I was a nurse at the time, living on my own, not making very much money because we don't make very much money down here.
Make money anywhere. Nurses, I swear, nurses get the short end of the stick. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know, like, as far as the explanting, does she do anything different other than holistic care? Like, is there a detox process after you explant?
Well, even before you get them out, she sends you a packet stating like what foods you need to like stay away from, tons of supplements. So, I mean, even things like, that you wouldn't like, I mean, like Stressify that we sell for Protea, like ashwagandha is in there. Like I couldn't take that for 3 weeks prior or 3 weeks after. There's a lot of stuff that you can't eat or drink before, like blackberries, stuff I would have never, like, there's some things I know, garlic, stuff like that. But there was a lot of things she wanted out of my diet. No gluten, no dairy, no meat, preferably, which I don't eat any of those things anyway. So it actually worked out fine. And what else did she have? After she has like, I forget what that oxygen chamber thing is called. I can't remember. It's on my highlights on my Instagram, but she highly recommends that for people to help them with healing. So I did that. I did like 4 of them when I was there. I did like some detox thing for my feet. She, recommends obviously post-op, like she gives you like a superfood salad after. She has a restaurant in her facility, and you can have food like made for you when you get out of surgery, taken home with you. Right when you get out of surgery though, she's got like natural spring water for you, all organic fruits, the salad
Wow.
to take home, a soup to take home. Um, she's all about like the nutrition part and being like active.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and obviously I feel the same way. So it was definitely something I was like, okay, I need to go to her. And her experience, she's been doing it for a really long time. And the thing was with me, if I'm going to go to a doctor, they better not be doing implants anymore. They better believe in this. And
Yeah.
she has done them for 6 years and she refuses to place implants. She was like, I tell every single client that comes in here, a patient, like, if you want implants, I'll do a fat transfer. If not, I'm the wrong doctor.
Okay. So she will do a fat transfer.
Yes. And she told me, because, it takes a year post-op to fully heal and see what your breasts are going to actually look like. So she was like, in a year, if you feel like you want, to get a fat transfer, we can definitely do that. She takes fat out of areas that you have the hardest time losing them. So if you're like, oh, I always have a hard time losing weight in my abdomen, she would liposuction your abdomen to get the fat out versus doing it from another area. Because that way the fat cells, if you were to lose weight, you wouldn't lose your breast tissue.
Well, that makes sense because I've heard that fat transfers don't really stick, but I guess those would be the doctors that take it from areas that you already lose weight in.
Right. And
that makes sense.
Don't do the correct research. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But you did not do the fat transfer.
No, it hasn't been a year yet. So this October, it'll be a year.
Okay.
I've debated going back and forth. I am not 100% sure. When I went there too, I thought I was going to need a lift and she told me I didn't need a lift. So that was nice because that was another $7,000 that I didn't have to spend. Cause I went there with 2 money orders ready to go. And she was like, you can take that right back to the bank. And I was like, oh, that's nice. But the fat transfer, I'm probably, my guess is I'm probably not going to do it. I'm really happy with the way my breasts look now. And yeah, I mean, could they look better? Could we always look better with something, one thing you have to realize with this, and I'm sure you do too. I mean, you have to really like love yourself. This has nothing to do necessarily with like breasts anymore. It's like, you have to really love yourself in order to be comfortable with yourself. And we could fix things all day long, but it's like, that's not going to make you any happier.
Well, like I know that my self-confidence has gotten better over the years as we age. Obviously it gets better. Right. And I can, like, everyone that asks me like, well, do you miss your breast implants? I'm like, there are times where I'm like, it would be nice to not have to wear a strapless bra or whatever. I said, but no, not really. I said, I'm actually more comfortable now being back to what I was.
Right.
So I got 20 grand sitting nowhere on my chest right now. Cause that's how much I've spent with all my surgeries.
Right. Same here.
And I was just like, so when people ask me about it, cause a lot of people are like, well, and I think that people do know about it. I think that they choose sometimes not to look at it.
Of course, they're in denial.
Yeah, because they still want the surgery. And I'm not like, get the surgery if you want it. Like, I'm not here to tell you one way or the other,
right.
But I'm also an advocate for health. And I know what I went through. Like, luckily I did not have all the symptoms you did. I mean, I still unfortunately have Hashimoto's. I don't know if yours cleared up.
I do, but like my levels were at like 900 and now they're at like 100. So I'm really hopeful that they're not gonna, I don't really consider myself having Hashimoto's because I don't have any of the symptoms.
And see, I do have the weight gain, the fatigue. So if I can tell when we have to adjust my thyroid medication.
Right.
And like, I'll be like, I'm gaining weight and I haven't changed anything. And then we'll check my labs and my thyroid's low again. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is so annoying, but I'll never know. Like, did my implants offset the autoimmune disease or because no one in my family has an autoimmune disease.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, it can be from so many things. And that's the thing too, is like I had doctors start me on thyroid medication. I weaned myself off. Like I was like, I'm not going to be, and nothing against anyone that's on thyroid medication. It's just me personally. I feel like you got to let, it takes a long time to let your body adjust from these kind of things. So, I mean, it can take, I stopped my birth control, for example, in 2017, and my hormones are still adjusting now in 2021. I'm finally getting a regular period somewhat.
Yeah.
But it takes time. And when you're on a thyroid medication, unfortunately, now your body just depends on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can never get off of it. And then it causes liver dysfunction and a bunch of other things. So for me, and I don't like to go by labs because if I feel really good and my TSH is up or down, to me, I'm like, okay, I don't give a shit because TSH goes up and down with your stress all the time. So don't look at my TSH. Like, you need to look at everything else. And even then it's like, I've had times where my labs, they're like, your thyroid looks terrible. You need to be on like this dosage. And I'm like, but I feel the best I've ever felt. So I'm not going on anything.
Yeah. That wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah. I did it all naturally. I take natural like thyroid supplements that aren't like bovine or any of that kind of stuff, but like through Metagenics, they have something called Thyrosol. I take that twice a day, and every functional medicine doctor that has seen me after I've been on that for a couple of years is like in complete shock of what my labs look like. They're like, you're doing great with this natural supplement. And
I wish I could.
They're all like, I'm going to start putting all of my Hashimoto patients in thyroid issue patients on this. So
maybe I need to try that because my thyroid is it. So after I had my implants out, like it balanced out for like a couple of years, like didn't have any issues. It didn't go up or down. And then now recently it's kind of getting intermittently up and down again. And I wonder sometimes if, because I didn't do the detox things that you did, like, and I know I did that he did a M block and a capsulectomy. I know that because he said he knew how to do that because he was also a reconstructive surgeon who did cancer patients' breasts. So that's why I did go to him because I felt like he would at least be able to make them look the best he could since he's used to having nothing to work with.
right.
But sometimes I wonder, I'm like, should I have done a detox protocol? And like, so do people come to you because obviously you have a large following and ask you about the breast implant illness and you give this advice, or if they say they can't go to Dr. Feng, do you say, well, she does recommend this, or how does that play out?
Well, if I tell everybody, I'm like, and I'm like, how much money do you waste on other stuff? Because honestly, it's worth putting on care credit. It's worth being in debt for your health. It really is. It's $9,000. Yes, it's a lot of money in hindsight, but it's also not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. And for your health to be better, I just, the experience, like it's so easy to leave the capsule inside of your body. And that's where a lot of girls end up having issues still. And I don't know if that's going on with you because I have no idea. You wouldn't even know that unless you had surgery again, unfortunately. But if your symptoms have gotten worse after surgery, that's something I would definitely question because you should not be feeling worse. You should be feeling better.
Yeah.
Not worse. So, to me, it's worth knowing that somebody has the experience. And like Dr. Feng's, like even her clinic, like that she doesn't do it out of a hospital. She does it in her clinic. Since 1999, she's at 100% for infection rate. So not one infection ever out of her clinic inside there. Very clean. Everything's very sterile, which says a lot when it's not even in a hospital. And she's yet to have anybody have any issues post-op. So it's like, like it's stuff like that. And it's also like the thing I said about placing implants again. Someone that's going to place implants again, I have a hard time like trusting them because they don't truly believe in the illness then.
It's true. It's true. And like me and my doctor did have that conversation and he even told me, he was like, I don't know if this is not true, and again, like when I was researching in 2017, there wasn't really a lot of information on it. And then when I started doing research again before this podcast, they're actually like making it known as of 2019, like they're putting it in warnings that you may end up with breast implant illness, which is amazing because you should know your risks and you should be able to make that decision. Now, same question everyone asked me. Have you ever since then thought, I want to get my implants again?
Hell no. Not even a little bit. I was so excited for surgery. Like I was pumped up. I was so ready to go. Like my surgery was at like 10:30 in the morning and they ended up calling me at like 8 and they were like, can you come early? I'm like, I'm coming right now. Like I was so excited. Like I've never been more excited. I don't miss my implants. I like my breasts 100 times more than I ever have. And I took pictures of myself prior to my surgery when I was 21. And it's just funny because my breasts look like identical to what they did then. And I'm like, you dumbass, like
mine too.
It's just like then everyone's like big boobs are in. And it wasn't even that they were that much bigger. It was just like they were probably too big for my size, being 5'1" and weighing like 110 pounds, like at the most. So it's usually between 100 and 110, probably too big. They were like a 34D. Yeah. So, but I was a 34D prior and I had lost a bunch of weight. And that was like the whole thing that prompted me to get them. And to me, I was like, oh, my boobs are so small and they look like pancakes, which they, to me they did. But in hindsight, looking back and looking at these pictures, I'm like, you're such an idiot.
Now, were you competing when you got breast implants?
I got them way before. I got them when I was 21 and I started competing. I think, God, it was years later.
Because I didn't know what
competing was when I did it.
I was gonna say, I was wondering if that pressure, because I know that my cousin got implants because she didn't compete, but she was in beauty pageants.
Yeah, I know that is true.
That pressure of
Yeah,
because everyone else has them.
Yeah, that's definitely, there is a lot of pressure in the competing world. But I did it like I didn't even know what competing was when I had my implants. Like I said, I was 21. I saved up all my money and went and had them done. And and then a year later, and that was the other thing is the doctors were like, normally if you're going to have something happen, it's going to be way sooner than a year. Like the fact that it took a whole year for you to have symptoms is like, it definitely doesn't make sense. So I was just like listening to what all these doctors were telling me.
Yeah. And that's commendable that you actually went through all that and you still have this positive attitude about it, because I think I would probably be like throwing in the towel and hating everyone at that point.
Yeah, it definitely was hard. But I was like, I just got to get through this. Like, and I just felt like I had no choice.
So, a question that I ask other people, what about other plastic surgeries? Like obviously you would consider the fat transfer because that's something natural, but what
Right.
about like fillers, Botox? Do you feel like that has any kind of problem?
Well,
Like, is that foreign or?
well, to me, fillers and Botox are a lot different. I mean, fillers are something that's going to like stick with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the thing is there's so many fillers out there, like, and people don't realize I'm certified in both administering Botox and fillers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't do it, but I got it because it was after I finished NP school and I wanted to have it on my resume. And I was like, oh, in case I want to get a job at a plastic surgeon's
That's
office,
something I really want to do, but
yeah. Yeah. Everybody wants to. I know it's such a hard thing to get into because everyone stays in those jobs.
mm-hmm.
But so I got those certifications and I learned a lot. I mean, there's like 100, 200 fillers that you can get for your face. And I also did rotations when I was in NP school at a plastic surgeon's office here in Michigan for one of the top surgeons in Michigan for like 72 weeks. And I saw a lot of people have fillers that had a lot of problems. And so that like definitely gave me like, you know, a bitter taste in my mouth watching people that had, you know, holes in their cheeks or these huge lumps and stuff. And all I can say is if people are going to get fillers, like just trust who you're going to. Like same thing with Botox though, because I mean, when I was administering Botox, like, you know, if you go, you have to go around your orbit and all this other stuff. I'm not going to get too in depth with it, but if you hit a certain area, which is like literally like, I mean, to hit it, it's obvious that you would hit it and you can make someone have a droopy eye for 3 months. That's a long time to have a droopy eye. But it's so easy to not hit that nerve. And like, I know so many people that have had Botox and they've had a droopy eye from it. And so now I'm like, oh, it's because the people that were doing it were not paying attention and completely didn't give a shit. And we're just like, let's just poke you. Like, that's the thing that's like, make sure you know who you're going to. Don't like, oh, there's a special. I get like this much money off. Those are like the worst things to go to. Make sure you know who does it, that they're a nurse, a doctor. I mean, I prefer nurses. I just think nurses have a better touch than most doctors. I'm sure you could probably agree with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like trusting the people you're going to. And really, like I said, it's all about like loving yourself and just remembering, like, just because you get, you know, better cheeks or lips or whatever, I'm sure you're still going to find something else you want to fix.
True. I think we could all fix something about ourselves.
Right. And you just got to be careful and you don't want to overdo things and just trust the people you're going to and research where you're going. I mean, for anything.
So what's next for you? Like, I feel like you should be a functional nurse practitioner.
I actually am in the process of going through IFM to get my functional medicine certification.
I just feel like that would be right up your alley.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No, yeah. I love functional medicine. And I looked into getting my master's again in it. And then talking to other people that I know, like some PhDs that I went to school with, and they were like, do not get your master's. They were like, go to IFM. And they are like supposedly supposed to be like the top functional medicine school in the country. So they're like, they are funded by like people like Reese Witherspoon and other like celebrities, because people are actually starting to realize like, okay, taking all these prescription medications is for shit.
Yeah.
It's causing more problems. It's causing them to have to take other medications to fight off more side effects and symptoms. So, but it's hard to get these things funded because obviously insurance doesn't even cover stuff like this. So a lot of celebrities are putting money into it. And so, yeah, I'm in the start of that. It's going to take like 4 years because I am not trying to like go, I've been in school like my whole entire life. I need to like actually enjoy my life now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a slow process, but it's each class is like a 5-day course, and it's like on cardiovascular, it's on GI, it's on, you know, each specialized thing. So I'm not learning a bunch of other crap I don't need to know, like in nursing school, and maybe do research and all this other shit you don't even care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
I think that's cool.
Yeah. But the test is extremely hard. Everybody I've talked to has said it's like worse than even taking the NP boards. So I'm like a little nervous about that, but
I think you'll do fine.
Yeah.
So where can everyone find you if they want to know more about breast implant illness, if they want to sign up to be, you know, coached by you with nutrition, fitness, pimp yourself out?
Instagram. You can see me on Instagram, and then also our my company that I work for, ADO Fitness. So it's www.adofitness.com. You can see all of us coaches on there, all of our plans, our packages. We all follow the same thing. We all believe in the same like lifestyle. I obviously, being a nurse practitioner, a little different, like in terms of knowing certain information, but everybody is amazing. Like all the coaches are great. Amber is awesome. She's a great she's a great boss. I got really, really lucky and fortunate that she asked me to work for her, and I was able to have this opportunity.
That's amazing.
But yeah,
And thank you for doing this and
thank you
being
so
my
much.
coach.
Oh no, I love it. Thank you. I really appreciate you asking me to come on here. It's been really awesome to be able to educate people on all of these things because, like you said, so many people don't know about it, and even they hear about it and they're just like, oh, whatever. But I mean, there's black box warnings now on all implants. Black box warnings means it will cause death or harm no matter what.
Yeah.
So you might be feeling fine now, but that's why I said, even when I did that thing with Megan on it, like, and I'm like, I don't want to wish bad upon anybody, but it's just inevitable that something bad isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Whether it be infertility, hormone disruption, developing an autoimmune disorder. I mean, just little things like I was having the insomnia, this and that, and you start to blame so many other things. And it's a foreign object.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe I'm going to have to go see if the capsule's still in there and see if that's what's causing all my hormone.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to call Dr. Feng's office and just ask her like what she recommends to, like, she might recommend a detox program or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, because I mean, going under the knife again is kind of, it's so invasive.
Yes.
But
and then I can't work out, and that's just not a good thing.
I know, I hear you on that. But I mean, just to like figure out something, because I know there's detoxes that you can do to get the silicone out of your body and stuff like that.
Well, I really do appreciate this. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'll check in with you on Thursday.
Sounds good. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.